Hello, welcome to the Legally Blind Geek YouTube channel, where we focus on overcoming low vision challenges. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. A long-time gardener, myself, the wife and I discussed this, and we talked about doing some sort of raised bed container gardening in the past. With that being said, in this video, I'm going to show you what we have come up with as far as a solution for building our own raised bed garden in the backyard. And if you kind of notice the things stacked up here from behind me, that probably is a pretty good hint as to what we're going to end up doing. So, that sounds something that you'd be interested in? Stick around. We got some tips and some tricks to share I believe you're going to find useful. Okay, moving right along, part of the decision-making process for doing raised beds, we had some criteria that we wanted to come up with. One, we wanted something that would be pretty much low maintenance, because let's face it, it's a lot of work when you start building some kind of retainer, whether you use wood, plastic, steel, or in our case, concrete blocks. Basically, we are using some repurposed concrete blocks, which there's all kinds of different concrete blocks. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But we were wanting something that, for the long haul, when we started talking about doing some raised beds, we wanted to do something that was going to be somewhat permanent, but not so permanent that you couldn't take it down if we needed to, for whatever reason that might come up. So we decided to do a dry stack concrete block type structure. We got this hodgepodge from one of the online that we're advertising used concrete blocks for a good price. And come to find out, they were blocks that hadn't ever been used. I don't know if they were from some job site somewhere where they just ordered too many and didn't use them all or what, but most of them have never been used. As a matter of fact, I don't know if any of them have got any mortar or anything like that stuck to them. So they're basically unused concrete blocks that we're going to repurpose. Instead of building walls or retaining walls with them, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a raised garden bed that you can probably see in the background there. Okay, what we started with is, here's this style of concrete block. There's a narrow side here, and then on the back side it's a little bit wider. That's the area that we're putting on the ground, kind of give it a little bit more support so it doesn't sink in the ground so much. In addition to that, on this side there's these contours that are molded into the concrete block that aid in lining them up for our purposes. And then if you're going to build a concrete wall or something, you know, you put some of that mortar mud in here, stick them together, and that helps to give them some adhesion, we'll say. So that's that style. Then there's this concrete block, which is a different color. It still has a narrow side that we're going to put to the top. It has the wider, what we're going to call the base, and then on the ends there's one side that's completely smooth. On the other side there's this notch here for whether you use a door frame, a window frame, or just mortar, whatever. That's what that's there for. This will make the edges so that when we walk by, it looks better, and we don't have this edge here that we could hit with our knee or our leg or whatever and scrape us up. And then when you go to put them together, one concrete block, two concrete block, and they line themselves up. You just kind of push them together, get them so that they match up. They feel good and smooth this way, and that's why we chose to go with concrete blocks. Yeah, they're a little bit heavy, but once you put them in the ground, they're not going to rot like your wood. If you don't like the color, paint them whatever color you want to. gloss black, flat black, green. It's entirely up to you. Having explained a little bit about the concrete blocks that we're using, why we're going to use them, and how we're going to use them, let me go ahead and show you some of the finished results as to what we put together in our backyard. I've got one that is basically designed for a cucumber trellis, another one that is a smaller one that we're going to use to put maybe cherry tomatoes in, something like that, and maybe some companion planting, cherry tomatoes, basil, some bush style beans or something like that that, complement one another. Then we're going to have another bed for like a sauce tomato, another bed for, let's say, peppers, bell peppers, jalapenos, some kind of pepper. And part of the beauty of having the different beds is we can kind of formulate the dirt for a specific growing condition for the plants that we plan on putting in those beds. So hopefully we'll maximize our yield. Now in my backyard here, it's not the perfect growing condition. We don't get the 6-8 hours of direct sunshine every day, but the plants will get a good amount of direct sunshine with some filtered sunshine. So that all kinds of comes into play with where the beds are located and what plants we're going to select. So let's take a look at some of the beds we've already done. Walk up here to the garden and see what we're working on. Here's the last bed that we have constructed. And we have a bit of dirt in here, and we have a little bit of housekeeping to do, but this is kind of what it looks like in the middle of putting it together and filling it full of dirt. And over here we have one that we basically have finished putting together, and we filled it with a sifted topsoil. And the plan is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some compost, some composted cow manure, and those kinds of amendments to the soil to make it more friendly to growing tomatoes. Here is another one. It's a little bit smaller, same soil composition, and we might put some whole cherry tomatoes or something like that in here. If you see this and you got some suggestions, I'd be glad to hear them. And something else we were thinking about doing was possibly filling the voids in the concrete blocks with soil and maybe planting herbs or flowers or something like that in the voids, in the spaces in the concrete blocks. And then from there, we have our cucumber trellis over here. And it's a different size, as you can see. And this is going to be where we plant our cucumbers so that they can grow up the fence, the trellis. So this is where, that's Britney. Britney loves to bark at the squirrels. We'll do a quick Britney look here. Yep, there's Britney over there with her partner in crime, Rocky. And there's obviously a squirrel or something up there in the tree that has got their attention. Okay, just a few simple tricks on how to overcome low vision challenges when putting together a raised garden bed. First of all, we're using repurposed concrete blocks, and then we're putting them up in my backyard parallel to my wooden privacy fence. And we've got them spaced away from the fence so that it takes advantage of the most amount of sun during the day. And a couple cheaters that I have One is I have this spade, trusty old garden spade, shovel, whatever you want to call it, that I use to space the bed off from the fence. Basically, I just touch it to one of the 4x4s. So, and like such, that's the distance that I use. So then I don't have to use any kind of tape measure. I don't have to be able to read the tape measure and that kind of thing. In addition to that, I use my little orange chalk line here. Basically, it's just a piece of mason's twine. You can buy that anywhere to keep the blocks in line. So from there, it's just basically stocking or stacking the concrete blocks one on top of the other. And there are different concrete blocks when you go to get those. There's ones that are smooth like this one. So if you want that smooth profile, that's got a smooth edge here and here. And then basically we just use some tacker clues. If it's smooth and the sides line up and butt up to one another nice, it's pretty much square. It's as square as it needs to be. In addition to that, there are other concrete blocks that have this kind of surface, so they're not smooth, they're not so showy, they don't present with a nice smooth face, and these are what you would use along the rest of the run of the concrete blocks. It's designed that way so when you mix mud or you want to interlock them, that's what that's all for. Butt them up against one another, get them lined up so they're nice and smooth and even. Then from there on, it's just stacking concrete blocks, feeling your way, smoothing them out, going from there. Well, there you have it. Just a quick recap. We are using recycled concrete blocks to build and construct our raised garden beds in the backyard because they're durable, they stand the test of time, they're not too difficult to work with. And I did spend some time with my level, working on one of them, leveling it up, and get it, within a quarter of a bubble, which is pretty good for me. To me, the time and the effort involved in doing that didn't seem to be that important. Maybe to you, if it is. Then there are levels out there that make an audible sound, so you don't have to look with a magnifying glass at the bubble. You can just kind of listen to them beep and whatnot. I've got one of those. I got a couple different ones. I may put some links in the description box down below. And for your amusement or for your benefit, I do use Amazon links. I'm an affiliate. So if you go to the description box below, you see some of the links that I promote. And basically, if I don't use it, I don't believe in it, I don't mess with them. And I'm not sponsored in any way. So I get a small commission if you buy something from Amazon. Other than that, I'm just doing this to help you out and to show everybody out there that just because you have a visual impairment, low vision, like myself, legally blind, doesn't mean you can't get out and do things. There are workarounds, and that's what we're here to try and learn together, discover, and share. So please feel free to use the comment section down below to share anything or make your voices known, your opinions known about any of the stuff that we cover here. It's all part of the show, part of the game. Since we did the last viewing, hi Rocky, we did go ahead and we planted some plants in the raised beds. And as you can see behind me, I've got some homemade trellises that we actually built, or tomato cages if you want to. If you want to know more about that, just post me a comment in the section, comment section down below. Ask me how I did that, and I'll go through that for you as well. But real quick, I'm going to show you what we've got planted in the beds, and you can do this too. All you have to do is have the want to, the desire, and the willingness to get out and get your hands dirty, because let's face it, gardening involves working in the dirt. Dirt, by definition, is dirty. Thank you. Be safe. Make it a great day. And remember, you too can overcome any low vision challenge you may have with some effort and just the perseverance. Just stick to it. Just keep trying until you find something that works for you. So, that being said, how about I share a few images of some items that are growing in the beds and how we set those up. Now this, as you can see, is the one bed that we've gone ahead and we put some compost in, and we have some tomatoes planted in this bed, and these are plants that we had picked up from our local garden center. We avoided the big box store. We went to one of the mom and pop stores. And over here in the sunshine, we talked about this before, how I don't get the perfect amount of sun because of the shade trees and stuff like that. Here's another bed that we have some plants planted in. They've been in there for a few days, so they may be suffering a little bit of transplant shock, that sort of stuff. But here they are. We have the additional bed that we put together down here. It's not completely finished yet. We still have a little bit of tidying up to do, and we plan on putting probably some squash in there. I'm kind of sticking around waiting till like the end of May, first part of June to put some squash in here. That way, in the past has taught me that it's a way to avoid the squash vine borers. So back up here, kind of walking along here. I haven't got the ninja walk down, so I'm not the smoothest camera operator in the world. But here is our bed that we put together for raising our cucumbers, and we put cucumbers and peppers in the same bed. That may be a mistake, I don't know, but this is what we're trying to do. So I'll walk around through here, get into the shade so we're not in the direct sun. Maybe that's not going to mess with our lens so much. But you can see there's the bell pepper in the cage. And then there is a cucumber plant over by the trellis. And we have some weeding here to do. I have these maple trees, and a lot of times they will drop their little helicopter things, and they start to grow, and lo and behold, the next thing you know, we have a prepala of little maple trees coming up. But this right here, this is our straight 8 cucumber. And this guy right here is a California Wonder bell pepper. It's supposed to be a sweet bell pepper. I'm not sure if it's going to be green or orange, but this is what we have going on. And gosh, if I can do it, you can too.